Good morning, beautiful being. It is lovely to see you, and it's good to be here inside out of the howling wind. Yeah, it is blowing. I mean, there's a hill over there, which is between me and the teeth of the gale. But I know because I can hear it, it sounds like a strong wind, and everything except the garden is waving crazy. Because, we're sheltered from the south. But at the moment, this part of the island at least is experiencing an airstream that's come pretty much straight from the South Pole, so it's actually cold and it's really windy. Good morning, Andrew! So we're inside and we're doing rocks, and this is chrysoprase. Now at last I know what this is. For ages it was a mystery rock and nobody knew what it was. And then somebody identified it a little while ago, and just yesterday I saw on on one of those rock sellers things a whole tray of this stuff, and I thought, oh right, yes, it really is chrysoprase. So isn't it lovely because of how the light comes through it? You look at it and think, oh, it must be jade, but it's chrysoprase. And the characteristic thing is this brown stuff on either side. Good morning, Heather. Good morning, everybody. So there it is. Beautiful translucent green, and look at all the little inclusions and interestingnesses there. I mean, yes, it's polished, but there you go, you can see the texture inside the stone. I know, I just love this one. It never gets old. Now, something that's similar but different, this is howlite. So again, it's got these lovely textures. And it's white, it's white. The thing about white is it's white. And it's just a tumbled piece of stone, and it almost feels a little bit soapy. It does look like a fish tank. It's got a bit too much algae growing in it, Andrew, but yeah, you're right, it does. There's no swimming fish, though. And this howlite, I just love it. It's, I don't know what the black stuff is that runs through it, and I don't know what it is that makes howlite into howlite, but this is a beautiful, smooth thing, and you just kind of want to stroke it. So, there you go. Howlite. And it looks like it's actually a stone that shatters in some kind of square shape, because look at the profile there. And it's been tumbled, yes. But anyway, oh look, I almost missed showing you that. Isn't it beautiful? It's like a picture or a landscape or something. So that's howlite. And this is aventurine, which is apparently the green cousin of rose quartz that we had yesterday. No, I don't know what it is that's in it that makes it green. Maybe it's chromium. I don't think copper. I don't know why. I don't know what it is that makes aventurine green, but there it is, and those are our rocks today. They were all sitting close together on the shelf, and it says, 1, 2, 3, you guys are coming and playing, so there we go. So today, picking up where we left off from yesterday, one of you left me a really beautiful comment about, I get that beauty is from within, and I don't buy all the programming that's pushed on us from outside, but I've had all these people tell me that I'm ugly, and you go and look at this beautiful lady's photographs, and she's anything but. She's gorgeous. Oh my God. Whoever was looking was just freaking blind. And it got me thinking, okay, so if I'm going to reply to that, what actually is this about? And it took me a little while to realise, morning, Robin! Well, that was a well-timed greeting, because I know how loud that thing is in the recording. It took me a little while to realise that really what we needed to talk about was criticism, right? Julian, good morning. Good morning, Jen. Lovely to see you on. So criticism, which we all get, and it's part of being alive, because it's guaranteed that when you are learning how to be a little human, that you are going to make mistakes, because that's the process of learning. You learn by mistakes and you learn by surprises. That's the only way you get new things really going on in your life. You make a mistake. You try something out, you make a mistake, you get feedback, you try something again, and you keep going. That's how you learn to walk, it's how you learn to ride a bicycle, it's how you learn to play the violin, it's how you learn to do anything. You start from somewhere, you use what's in your brain about what you know how to do, and you apply it to something new, and you make mistakes, but you figure out eventually what works. And part of that process is getting feedback from your environment. And if you have a teacher, that teacher is going to give you, hopefully, but unfortunately quite often not, constructive criticism, which is, you're doing this, but you need to do that. Hi, Mike! That's, it's normal that we get feedback. where it becomes a problem is when that feedback is negative, where it's emotionally loaded, where it comes with an overtone or a full-on transmission of, you're useless, you're no good, you can't, whatever. And we all get lots of that too. Because, we're growing up in a world where the consciousness is changing. I can't say it's like this anymore because I see the change happening, even though it's chaotic and crazy and you think, what the hell? I remember when I was little in the playground and there were kids who were nice and there were kids who were mean. But even, me and my so-called friends, it was all about who was winning and who had this and if I let you do this then you could let me do that, and there's a complete survival thing going on in the playground, right? Because that's just what's going on. Those are the programs, and the children are imitating their parents, and their parents have their own experience of there not being enough in the world, and la la la. So all of that means that the feedback that we get from our environments can be quite negative. And it can be quite negative for quite a long time. And so it gets programmed in there, right? Because we remember things better when we know how they feel. And it doesn't matter if it's a negative emotion or a positive emotion. The emotional charge is what makes a memory stick. So if you've had people tell you things that aren't nice in a situation where it's emotionally charged for you, you're going to remember them. And you internalize them and the body gets programmed. The brain literally has, it's kind of stamped in your brain physically. There are neural connections that represent that experience where somebody said whatever they said to you that was really unpleasant. It's just how it works. And so those programs then, because they're so emotionally powerful, it's very easy to replay them. And we've talked about that, the sort of, the example that I give, which I know isn't too far from the truth, that when someone has a traumatic experience, particularly if there's a crime involved, they have to tell the story over and over and over again to investigators and doctors and family and concerned people and friends and everything else. And every time they tell the story, they have the experience again, literally. And meanwhile, they're firing and wiring that experience in their brain, and it just gets stronger and stronger. Well, it's the same with a critical thought. When it's repeated over and over and over, you hear it. And remember, when you're a child, before you're 7, you have no ability to filter anything that comes in. So if somebody says you're useless, you're ugly, you can't do that, you're not good enough, you're like me and I can't do it, and all of that. Well, okay, that must be true. You have no analytical mind to think any different. It's only when you start to grow up, when the kids start to figure out there's no Santa, and of course they start to think that their parents aren't quite as, all-knowing and all-seeing and all-understanding as they thought they were. Because, of course, when you have no analytical mind, that's how your parents seem to you. They're like gods. But as you start to grow up and you get an analytical facility, you get the ability to disagree and say, well, actually, no, that's not right. I don't like that. Whatever. But by then, whatever it is that got in before you had that analytical facility is still there. And very often, those early things that get stamped in the brain and the body, because remember you have the thought and then you have the feeling and the body gets conditioned to it, particularly if you think it and feel it a lot, it becomes normal. And then what happens is you're going through your life and a whole ton of crap hits you and you think, what the hell did I do to deserve that? Why are these people saying these mean things to me? I'm just going through my life doing my best, trying to help people or be kind or whatever it is, and there's just landslides of crap appear. And what you don't understand is that the critical thought, the critical words, became something that you started to believe about yourself because you had no ability to disagree, and you may have completely forgotten what it was that you were told or what you started to believe. It's completely unconscious. But the way you move and the way you speak and the way you interact with the world and your body language and your face and the vibe of your body, because everybody's body puts out a vibe, all say to the world, I've been criticised, I'm scared of it again, which means that if I think that you look like you're going to criticise me, I'm going to kind of shrink away from you, and I don't even know that I'm doing it. I'm just giving an example. This is what happens. But it's just an example. Everybody's different. And so you're going through the world thinking that you're a confident person, but people keep pouring critical, verbal shit on you, and you're thinking, where the hell is this coming from? But of course, because it's so powerful, and you start to wonder what you're doing to deserve it, I must be doing something wrong, then you become more aware of this whole negative cycle of thinking, and you start to believe on some level, maybe consciously now, well, there must be something wrong with me, and down that road you go. And we do whatever we are really being inside, whether we are aware of it or not. The universe has to endorse that. The sum total of who I am being, whether I know that I'm running a fearful program or not. If I am running a fearful program, the universe is going to find some delightful, beautiful, delicious, surprising, amazing, scary, whatever way to show me more of that thing that I'm being. Now, if you're being happy and truly confident and truly in love with yourself and truly trusting life, then that's what you're going to get. And if you're not getting it, then some part of you is being outwardly reflected in what's manifesting in your life. That's just how it works, whether we like it or not, I am 100% responsible for the shape and everything in my experience. I'm like, oh, really? How am I doing it? Of course, you do the analysis and you go to the therapy and you have the healing sessions. And what the hell? Why is it changing? I've done all the work. I'm doing the affirmations. The challenges that somewhere inside of ourselves or somewhere in our energy, I do this, but actually somewhere in the vibration and the consciousness and the awareness that is you, the frequency that you are sending out to the universe and the feeling that you are holding, the sum total of the feeling that you are holding is drawing back to you, whatever that is, it's equivalent. So whatever you're seeing, whatever you're receiving, whatever's coming to you, something in your energy, in your vibration, not your conscious thinking, and certainly not saying, oh, universe, please send me crap. But, it's coming to you because it matches something. And the very human response to that is to go looking for what the something is. And that doesn't work, as many of us know. This doesn't work. Because why? Because it keeps you looking for problems, focused on the problem, trying to find the problem to fix it. So what's the way out of this? And I say it over and over again. When you start to think, okay, I've done all this stuff, tried to go into business and I've done the seminars and I've read the books about wealth and I'm still essentially broke and frustrated. Okay, how do I really feel about that? For example, whatever the situation is that is just driving you crazy and you can't overcome it in your life and it keeps recurring, this recurring pattern. Forget the pattern. Forget the thing that is manifesting in you. Just forget it for a moment, okay? Just, stop looking at it. How do you feel about it? Because however you are reacting emotionally to whatever that thing is that keeps showing up in your life, that is the emotion you have to overcome. That is what you have to change. Period. There's something my inspiration, Dr. Joe Dispenza, says, and it's absolutely true, and I have lived it and I'm living it. You ready? Nothing changes until you change your energy. Now, what does he mean by that? And he explains this. He says, I used to take questions and people would come to me and say, and he would give them the answer, but they would argue why it wasn't going to work. There's evidence, there's science, but they would argue for their limitation there, whatever it was. And he came to understand, and I've done this too. It's like, oh my God, I am wasting my time answering questions when the person that's asking me the question is not actually willing to change how they feel. They just want me to affirm their feeling. They really do, even though they think something else. Nothing changes until I change how I feel. And that is the most counterintuitive, difficult thing to do because I've been so addicted to how I'm used to feeling. No wonder I want everybody to give me all the reasons why it's so hard being me and it's so difficult and, tra-la-la-la-la. And you see people doing this. And after a while, you learn to let go and wait until they get to the end of themselves. And some people never do. And then, there's a moment that, okay, this just has to change. How do I do it? I thought you'd never ask. Okay, come on, let's get on with it. So there has to be a really deep choice. Okay, if this is the emotion, I'm always short of money and I feel so frustrated and so disempowered and so I can't do it, then I've got to overcome my frustration and my disempowerment and I can't do this and it's impossible and oh, poor me. And this is me, right? This is what I had to do. At the moment, I'm recognizing it's always been with me, but life has never been clear enough for me to recognize this fundamental program of fear, and it rests in a physical part of my body, and I only just received this understanding today. I know where the program sits now. I didn't before I sat down and meditated this morning. And so I'm continuing to work through this fear, okay? Fear. And I know now that it rests in my diaphragm. And massage therapists can work around the edges of that on the front, but this is right through the whole thing. And it sends fear through my whole body. And I mastered it this morning, and I got a different signal, and I sent us a different signal very, very clearly through my autonomic nervous system because I was so out of the way this morning. And it's my job, because I'm bound to flip back. But it's my job to remember, hang on a minute, that's coming up, I know what that is, and I know what the signal is I need to send, and I've got to change my state again. Again and again and again. So, you've got to be willing to change how you feel, independent of what's going on in your body, what's going on in your world, and independent of how long it takes. And that can be challenging, really can, okay? But, here's the critical thought, right? Oh my God, I'm so useless. I'm a numpty. I can't do this. I'm a bonehead, whatever it is. There's the thought, right? And you say it automatically. We do. I hear people say these things, and depending on the connection they have with the person, they say, hey, hang on a minute. That's not true. You're amazing. And please, would you mind not saying that? Your cells are listening. That usually stops them to, gives a little opportunity for going, oh yeah, and they laugh and but you get the message in where you can, where there's an opportunity. So okay, I believe I'm a bonehead. I keep saying it. It must be true. I'm such a dumbass. What's wrong with me? Okay, if I want to think something other than I'm a dumbass, really, what would I like to think? What about I'm a genius? Oh, no, that's not true. And if I believed that I was a genius, I'd be having a big head. I'd be proud. I'd be, and maybe people, as soon as I start to believe that someone's going to hit me, because I've got to be small to survive. When you start to imagine how it is that you want to think, and then how do you feel when you're a genius, really? When you truly feel that you can face any problem and you might not know immediately, but you'll work it out, you'll figure it out, the answer will come to you. There's a whole lot of trust and connection and everything that goes with that. How do I feel if I'm a genius? Well, I relax because I know that the answer's going to find me. And I feel good about myself because I'm a friggin' genius. So you have to know what thought you want to think instead, and you have to know what feelings go with that thought, right? That's logic. If you don't want to think and feel the way you're accustomed to thinking and feeling, you've got to know how you do want to think and feel, and then you've got to make the change. So how do I do that? I do it, there's two ways: brain coherence, heart coherence. Depending on where I am, what I'm facing, how much time I have, depends on what I do. The more I practice both of those, I get better at it, and I get better at doing it in an emergency mode, and I think, oh my God, I'm coming apart at the seams here. Okay, heart coherence is actually quicker because anybody can learn to put their awareness in the center of their chest and breathe in and out of there. Breathe in and out of your heart. Most basic. There's more to it than that. But if you just put your attention in the center of your chest and breathe in and out of there, you are taking the first step towards heart coherence. And if you're doing that, you might not be thinking so much that ugly thought that you were thinking. If you keep doing that, you're going to feel different. Because you can't consistently keep breathing in and out of your heart without changing your state. The moment you make your heart coherent, you are going to feel good. Period. It is not possible to have a coherent heart and feel bad. because a coherent heart means you feel love, peace, safe is a big one, calm, and eventually joy, ecstasy, bliss. The more coherent your heart is, the better you feel. The other thing to do is to open your focus. And for me, if I'm really desperate, I'll shut my eyes, because removing the visual stimulus from outside of me really helps. Shut my eyes and imagine my awareness is like a balloon that I'm blowing up from inside me, and I'm trying to keep my sensing awareness on the whole skin of the balloon as it goes out. And just and your brain is trying to pull the balloon back and say, no, but I want to think about that nasty thought. I want to think about that person and that bad memory and how awful it's going to be tomorrow and I have to see that person again. And you say, no. I'm just blowing up this balloon and my awareness is going with the balloon. Very, very quickly. No practice, nothing. But those are the two things that once you know how you want to think and how you want to feel, with practice, they will allow you to do that. Because when you open your focus, the voice in your head gets quieter. It does, because when that voice is going, your brain, it's like a lightning storm in there. It's going crazy, and it feels crazy, right? It isn't nice. When you open your focus, if you consistently practice doing that, there comes a point where that crazy shuts down. The brain starts to unify again instead of being like, a bunch of cats running around and fighting each other. Somehow, the cats are all walking in the same direction. Their tails are aligned. They're all in harmony and they're all communicating with the same mind. No more herding cats in your head. That's coherence, and it's beautiful. And it's worth every bit of effort you have to make to get there. And once you've experienced it, you'll want to go back. Because it feels so good and so whole. It's like, I remember who I am again. It's like a fish it's like a fish going back into water, or me coming up from air when I've nearly drowned. It's so good. So, that's what I wanted to talk about today. I'm out of time. I'll be back tomorrow, but actually I'm going to be back in 3.5 hours to give you an update on our beautiful Sang Marie Gomez and what he's doing in the Gambia. Where it never ceases to be challenging, and I'm very proud of him. So I hope you'll catch up with us then. Otherwise, I'll see you tomorrow. Much love. Bye-bye.